2.
Welcome to Cabo Meal News and Community Update in English. This is Korey Riggs along with Claudia Velo. Claudia, how are you today?
I'm doing great. We are in mid-May.
We are in mid-May. It's Sunday. What is it? May
May
16th already?
16, yes.
So you can listen to us. Obviously, you're listening to us on the radio, 6 p.m. on Sunday, or you can check us out on Facebook at Cabo Meal News. We also have a YouTube channel at Cabo Meal News. And Claudia, I've been checking out all your releases during the week of the news updates. They're pretty good.
Thanks.
And you got such great guests sometimes too.
Sometimes I do. I have wonderful guests.
Yeah. But it sounds really good, and we were keeping you all informed. The English-speaking community, it's so exciting to be here. And remember, if you want to reach your customers that speak English, this is the place to do it. So we'd love to have you sponsor the show. Lots of opportunity here. We're reaching a lot of folks. A lot of people watch us on Facebook, which you should be watching us because, Claudia, what have we had? We've had a rattlesnake that has struck the screen.
Yes. We had shark experts and some
We,
awesome footage about Cabo Pulmo.
we did. And we also had a picture of a mako shark that had a hook in the mouth that Fernanda Nieto from Latitude Encounters, she actually went out and got that hook out live swimming with this mako shark.
I
So
know.
you can check out all of that at Cabo Meal News because we have all of our archive shows there. And Claudia, we have another exciting show today.
We do. This week is all about recycling and trying to stop the use of single-use plastic and see what people are doing to help this. So,
Very,
yeah.
very, very excited. Well, first, let's ask before we get into our interview. Let's ask if we have any news. Do we have? I mean, I know we have some news, but
We have, yes, we do have news.
uh-huh.
And this past week, there were some power outages in not only Los Cabos, but across the state. And this has become an issue. There were lots of rumors saying that it was because the circuits were overloaded the first time that it happened. In Los Cabos, it turned out to be not an overload of the circuits, but actually a transformer that burned out. But that did put about 22,000 users in the municipality of Los Cabos out of power for about 4 hours. But then the following day, there was an outage in Loreto, Comondú, and La Paz, and that put about 36,000 users out of power. And that the governor did mention was an issue with not being able to produce enough capacity, enough voltage, I don't know the exact term, but anyway, they're addressing that and working to improve the situation. The Hotel Association in Los Cabos did express their concern, and they have already asked the not only CFE but the Energy Commission in Baja California Sur and also the federal authorities to do something about it. There is no clear definition on what that something means, but we will, of course, keep you posted.
Well, it sounds like we had a first few days of people using a lot of air conditioning,
And
and
that's what it
I
sounds
know
like.
I definitely was using it, and
Me
it's just
too.
going to get hotter. So hopefully someone's figuring this out. That's
Yeah.
not going to contaminate the environment too much. So that's part of the issue. Is I know that this big power station up in La Paz is spewing out a lot of stuff, and it's a problem. And I don't think people in Los Cabos even realize that we're getting energy from a place and we're not being contaminated, but the people in La Paz are. And something needs to be done about this. Needs to
Absolutely.
be done about it. And it's not fair. It's not fair. If you go up to La Paz and you see this thing spewing in the air, something has to be done. So
Yes,
we
and there
can.
was actually a commission because at some point there were filters installed, but maintenance has not been properly kept. And so that's one of the big issues, and that needs to be addressed. So they're working on that. The other piece of news is, well, actually, yesterday was the official beginning of hurricane season. May 15 marks the
Mhm.
beginning. And this year, tropical storm Andres showed up earlier. It formed on May 9, so it broke the record. The previous record holder was Adrian in 2017, which formed May 10. So Andres beat it by 1 day. But Civil Protection announced the forecast for the Mexican Pacific. They're expecting 15 to 20 storms to form, and of those, 3 to 4 to make landfall and be hurricane, well, 3 to 4 to make landfall, and 3 to 4 to be hurricane category 3 or higher. Not that the ones that will make landfall will be all the big
and when they say landfall, it's not just saying a straight on hit to Los Cabos
No.
or to anywhere here.
No, it can
It's
be
just,
anywhere in the along the Mexican Pacific. So it's not like there are three coming in this area, but we are now in hurricane season, so it's important to make home repairs that are necessary for the rainy season, and hopefully it will be just beneficial rains, but better to be prepared.
Well, Claudia, just one more thing before we get into our interview. Just to tell you, I know people are sitting on pins and needles wondering how Ramadan went, but I finished it this week.
Yes.
So, and I feel so good. There's something to fasting that everyone should do, and I lost 7 kilos.
Wow.
So it was incredible. But anyway,
You glow. I mean, from the beginning, I think it was like by the first week, there was a certain glow to you, like your body, but also yourself. So yes, you're a great testament to,
well,
testimony
thanks to one of our favorite guests on the program, Modu. I think a lot of people are glowing. I think there was about 15 of us that did it. We have our celebration this weekend, and it'll be great to experience that. But just fasting, there's something to it that I've never done this long of fasting, and the truth is my skin is better, I feel better, my mood is better, and it's impressive if you limit your calories how much more energy you have. And so that's been a great thing. We'll have Isabel back on the show soon, so we can even talk about it. So that'll be great. Well, enough about that. Let's talk about plastic. And we have a couple folks with us, and I believe they're both out of Todos Santos. Alejandro, are you in Todos Santos or La Paz?
I'm in La Paz, actually.
Okay. So we have one person in La Paz and one person in Todos Santos, but we have Caitlin Allen, who is the leader of the fundraising strategy within the Zero Waste Alliance. And we also have Alejandro Flores, who is a collaborator within the Zero Waste Alliance. And we are excited to talk with them to find out what that is. And welcome to the program to you both.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So Caitlin, why don't you start? Why don't you tell us about what is the Zero Waste Alliance?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give a little bit of background because we've been through quite the evolution. So I started working with the Zero Waste Alliance over 2 years ago, so prior to COVID. And initially, our main focus was to put out the fire at the dump because the dump burns quite frequently, especially in tourist season. It burns a lot more because there's more trash. And the dump smoke blows through the communities, all over the farmland, over houses, etc. So that was our initial sort of intention, was to raise money to fund a tractor to put out the fires. And our biggest evolution is as we started to gather information on the legalities of the dump and the contract between the ejido and the municipality and understanding the relationships and the players there, we really realized as a community the most impact we can have is actually preventing waste from getting to the dump in the first place. And so now our sort of main focus is really inspiring personal responsibility for waste as individuals and as businesses. Also helping facilitate waste systems that are more beneficial for the environment and turning the waste that we have into value. So figuring out what has value, creating a monetary incentive and keeping it in a more circular economy here to generate jobs and also to kind of change the paradigm of how we look at trash.
So tell us, because this is very interesting what you said. First of all, where is the dump?
It is between Pescadero and Todos Santos, on the mountainside of the highway.
Okay. And what causes the fires?
There's two main reasons, one of which are some intentional burns to get things of value. So there are some individuals that are looking to burn certain metals and things to find the most valuable sources of income that then they can go and get money for. So that's one of the ways. But we also have a very large amount of organic waste that enters our dump, more than pretty much anywhere else in the region that we know of. So over 50 to 60% more or less that goes in every day is actually organic waste. So lots of yard waste, palm fronds, landscaping, things like that. And so with the heat that we have, those things lay on top of the rest of the trash and they'll self-combust quite easily. And so then once those things light, it'll start to burn the more toxic materials like tires and plastic and things like that. So it's kind of a two-part.
And it self-combusts because of all the gases that are being released, or what's?
Yeah, there's essentially it's drying out so much. So that a proper landfill runs with compaction and cover. So like in the States, for example, you'll dump trash, you'll drive over it to compact it to take away all of the oxygen, which is what will help start fires. And then you cover it with a layer of dirt or another type of lining. So we don't have any of that infrastructure. So all of the organic material is just getting drier and drier and drier with the oxygen, with no water. It's going to burn.
And sorry, all these questions, but it's so interesting, and I'm sure our listeners don't know this. But is this the dump that everything from Cabo comes to also? And no,
we're in a different municipality, so we're technically in the La Paz municipality. So from Elias Calles to northern Todos Santos is the dump. So that's kind of our range, and then La Paz has their own up in the city.
Okay, so this sounds like there's probably a big problem in Los Cabos also, right, Claudia? Oh, you're on mute, Claudia.
Yes, and the fires at the different dumps in the municipality of Los Cabos are also a big issue. But yeah, the big dump in the municipality of Los Cabos is outside of Los Cabos going towards Migriño, right before Migriño.
Got it. All right. Well. So tell me. So this is how it started, and so what are you guys up to now? And Alejandro, feel free to jump in here as well. So you've been very patiently quiet.
Yeah, I'll actually have him answer that because he's kind of helping through the whole transition of where we're at now and after all the information gathering. So go ahead, Alejandro.
Great.
Exactly. Yeah. Caitlin's been there for a long time, so I'm just like the new kid in town. So I'm helping shifting the alliance's mindset and structure to precisely strengthen what Caitlin said. Because when I knew about zero waste, I fell in love with the initiative because of the possibilities. What we thought is that we have to define a long-term vision that aims to actual zero waste. Because if the problem is the landfill getting fire, if there is no waste, there's not going to be any fire. So that's an interesting way to thinking. Just to get to zero waste, it does take a long time. So the first thing is, we have to put everybody in town, which is around 15,000 people, that's not a lot, together and collectively in agreement with one goal. And this goal is about reducing what we produce. And one of the first steps to do that is actually if we start making value out of what we produce. That's why Caitlin mentioned circular economies. There's another particular important point here that we want to rely on donations at the beginning to set up this, but afterwards we'd like this to be a self-sustaining operation so that it can keep producing and producing more value out of what is now waste, but later will be byproducts. And in order to do that, we need that vision. We need to have a strategy that is very clear. We need to get everybody on board, and then we need to put our hands to work. And the very, very first thing that we're doing is a waste audit to know what we produce and how much we produce and where. And we're doing that by economic strata because, as we know, we produce differently depending on how much we earn, so that we know enough information so that we can do something about it. Because it's not the same thing to say I have we produce 20 tons of waste, around 25 tons in Todos Santos Pescadero, and out of that 50% is organics. But organics is a wide variety of things. So having to know how much of that is palm trees, how much of that is vegetables, how much of that is actual protein food and bones is important for the people that work with that. Mm-hmm. So when they know that they have this amount of raw materials, the experts can say, oh, I can do this about that. I can do composting. I can do, soil. I can do energy. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. And the same goes with recycling. If we know how much we produce of each type of the plastics, then we can know what we can do first here to produce value, to create jobs, and to get rid of those products in a more caring way for the environment. And then whatever's left.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt, but it sounds like you're coming from a very educational point of view where you're gathering all these knowledge in them, and while all this knowledge is being gathered, is Zero Waste Alliance doing something to communicate with the community so that some of their behaviors start to change? Because from what we've seen in other efforts, that's what takes the longest. And how do you bring the community on board a project that basically has to change the way they look at everything they consume and how they dispose of what is left after they use it?
Mm-hmm. Excellent question. We do have it in the plan, but thanks to that little tiny bug that is around the world, we cannot start doing that as we would like, but we will definitely go into the educational outreach component. But and this is only at least first in our internal idea. That's why we want to focus on economy, because you rarely see metals or valuable things in the dump. They never get there, and we don't separate. People separate them through let's say the collection process, because it has a value. So just imagine in a future where you say, okay, I have people that have a business that is running on organics and is willing to buy the raw material, so that you have 1 peso per kilo of mixed organics, or 2 peso by kilo of separated organics, or whatever amount you can say. Then probably, because of the market pool, things will not be only put in the waste, into the trash. They will separate and gladly start selling their byproducts. But we need to have a sense of how much we produce, what can be done. Is there really a business to be running before we get to that point? But it's my hunch that we can do it, because we have good markets that are receiving gladly organic things, community-based, supporting initiatives, social responsibility, businesses, sort of B Corps, all these types of more holistic ways to approach economy, society, and environment. I think they're very important. So when we put both together, people are educated and people are actually distributing wealth in a better way. It creates a virtuous cycle. And that's also about circular things. How do we energy, knowledge, money, everything we just put to work together towards one goal, and the goal is to have a cleaner environment, to live better, to live happier.
Well, we're speaking with Alejandro Flores and Caitlin Allen of the Zero Waste Alliance, and you're listening to Cabo Mil News at 96.3 FM, or you're watching us on Facebook at Cabo Mil News Facebook Live. And Caitlin, just to close it out here, we have a couple minutes left. What would you like people to know about zero waste? What would you like for our audience to know about? How can they get involved?
Well, there's two ways really that people can get involved right now. Is we're kind of the phase 2 after our waste audit is to generate like focus groups on specific things. So we would like to figure out who the experts are in the community, connect and network people together to build these focus group teams to really tackle things on a specific task. So if people are interested in getting involved and sort of creating these bigger projects, creating a more scalable project of someone what may be doing something in their house with recycling or organics, find us, hit us up on our Facebook page, or contact me directly through the Zero Waste Facebook page via email. So that's one way, is really just generating that sort of like intellectual power of ideas and different things like that. And then the second way is to donate via Mexico through our fiscal sponsor up in La Paz with a nonprofit, or you can donate through the States for a tax deductible donation. And right now the main focus is really the community-wide waste audit, because that's completely dependent on phase 2 of what we can do with that. So those are the two main ways that people can get involved right now.
Great. And Caitlin and Alejandro, we'll keep you into our break. So if you're watching on Facebook Live, we'll say goodbye to you there. So we'll give you a little bit more of a chance to expand on how people can get involved. We'll make sure that there's links and everything on our Facebook page. So again, Cabo Meal News on Facebook. But thank you very much for being with us today, both of you. And we'll just stay on. We're still on Facebook Live, and we'll take a short break. We'll be right back, everyone.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.